You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie? I know you're not feeling well.
No, dude,
Rob's pushing through for the people tonight.
The show must go on. I literally got my second vaccine yesterday, Moderna, and dude, like I woke up this morning and I couldn't even like get my eyes open. Chills, fever. Like I couldn't even get out of bed until like 9 a.m. and like go to the bathroom. It's been bad, but pushing through tonight. The show must go on. I love that scene of Wolf of Wall Street where Leonardo is on stage and he's like, the show must go on, and he's yelling. That's kind of what I'm doing, like Michael Jordan's flu game. Mike, this is me tonight. Go pushing through for the people.
Well, the people appreciate it, Rob. I feel like, it's U.S. Open week. Today, they're bowling on the 40-foot flat pattern. I feel like 40 feet flat should just be bowling's pattern. That's it.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, 40 feet flat everywhere. It's the only pattern in bowling. That's it. We hit the reset button. You take all the fancy machines and all that out of it. There's only one pattern. It's 40 feet flat, and it plays different depending on the house and the topography of the house, the characteristics of the house, the surface of the house. And that should be it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see bowlers bowl on that pattern.
Dude, the flat patterns are no joke, because like the flat patterns really across like pair to pair are so different. And unless you bowled in a league that I used to bowl in the sport league where the guy would put out all different kinds of lengths, flat patterns, and it was amazing to see like what you could do to a pair if you were to practice before the league started. And we bowled on a 28-foot flat for like 3 weeks. And they allowed me to practice on the same pair I was bowling on. And I just like used the plastic ball and punted up 20 for a game and a half. But that's what just shows you like how important getting good crosses and being on top of it. Because when you deal with a flat pattern, really, really, people, they don't know what they're doing. They really screw shit up. So
I just also feel like it's that pattern, 40 feet flat. And yes, I'm okay. I see Derek mentioning, what about 50 feet flat? You want variations? Okay, fine. Like anything 1-to-1, but like, I just feel like the flat patterns, the 1-to-1s, especially the 40 feet 1-to-1, really makes you execute at the highest level. There's the smallest room for error.
Oh,
right?
Sucks.
And,
it's like bowling on a cliff.
And that's really what bowling should be. I mean, if the bowling world in general adopted that as the general pattern for bowling, like bowling a 300 game, bowling a perfect game would immediately have meaning again, and like it would just be different. I mean, think about how much less the balls might matter if that's what we bowled on 100% of the time, right? People might actually understand that you need to learn how to throw the ball effectively before the characteristics of the ball matter. But listen, we're getting very deep here, Rob. I know you don't want to be going into overtime tonight. Your brother already said it's Jordan game status, flu game status, so you don't want to go into overtime tonight.
I'm sweating right now.
I'll drop it for now. Maybe we can get into it a little bit next week after the U.S. Open is over, or as the season kind of wraps up here. Obviously, we're going to need topics to talk about as we move forward, so perhaps we can put that on the back burner. But Rob, our media prowess is expanding, Rob.
It is. I'm trying to. I haven't had a chance, obviously, to work on it the last few days because of the stupid, vaccine that I took. But it's exciting. We have a lot of good things planned for the people, and hopefully, next year at this time, Mike, April 2022, Sweep the Rack looks a lot different. And that's really all I'll go into. But we don't plan on stopping. We're excited about what we're doing here, and we love talking to people every week as fans and just as people that enjoy bowling and that love talking about what's real in the sport and not sugarcoating shit.
Well, we're not just talking anymore now. I'm doing some writing too.
Dude, I appreciate it, Matt. Matt's one of my best buddies, man. I grew up. He went to Saginaw with me, dude. I've had some rough moments. But anyway, I didn't even drink that night before. That was just a lot of shit. But anyway, yeah. So we have a lot of awesome stuff coming on, and hopefully, it
dropped an article this week.
Bowling writer, Mike.
Yeah,
you're turning into a bowling writer.
Got some feedback online about the article, and some of the ideas in it. When I heard that the PBA League was canceled, I thought, that might be a good thing. Like maybe the PBA can use this opportunity to revamp the league and present it as a better product going forward. I had a lot of ideas on it. It's not something that we have a ton of time. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It's not something that we have a ton of time to get into on the show. I mean, we've gotten into it in the past, I think in like a flat 10 list or something of a little bit more of a fun way. But, the article's out there. People can check it out if they want. But I basically had a handful of ideas about how to improve the PBA League. Rob, perhaps some more stuff coming down the pike in terms of us going outside the box here of just the podcast, and doing some different stuff. So people should be on the lookout, I guess.
Yeah, if you have an idea of if anybody has any ideas out there that you want, Mike or myself to maybe write an article, I'll give it an attempt. Of course, I'll have Mike proofread my material before I send it.
It has to be opinion based though. Like, don't we're not media people. Don't expect us to contact people and get quotes and interviews and all that.
Yeah, no, I think
we'll leave that to the real professionals.
Yeah, I think I'd like to write an opinion piece about how the PBA and the USBC, mostly the PBA, could make their shows more entertaining and actually come up with some real solid ideas, not just talk about how it all should be like WWE, because I know you guys give me shit about that a lot. But I like to see more entertainment on the shows because, Mike, let me tell you, the Masters show, and I'm going to transition in that right now. The Masters show that was just previously aired this Sunday on FS1 was mostly a snooze fest for me, Mike. Honestly, there was a couple of okay storylines, but I mean, overall, it just didn't really. There wasn't a whole lot of entertainment value for me. Mostly just Spencer Robarge, and I know we'll get into a little bit. Just to see an 18-year-old phenom do what he was doing was pretty cool. And then the title match I thought was okay because of
but you needed. I don't want to interrupt, but let's talk about it right now. You needed, in order for that to really be the best show that it could have been, with the way things went early, you needed Spencer Robarge. At least to get to the champ. Yeah. Yeah. Come on, man. You needed him. I mean, listen, shout to Thomas Larson. Huge win for him. You could tell he was emotional. He talked about how he had taken a part-time job and he was actually considering giving up professional ball. I mean, shout to him. I'm so glad to see him win. He's a grinder. He's been out there for years. The guy throws it amazing. You could see the pressure weighing on him as the final game closed, where he made some errant shots that you could tell were just a result of nerves. That second one in the 10th, he even said he couldn't keep his legs underneath of him. We've all been there before, So shout to him, big shout to him, right?
Dude.
But let me say this: he put a damper on the day by beating Spencer Robarge. I mean, everybody wanted to see Spencer Robarge against Jesper Svensson. That was the match. the super young two-handed lefty phenom versus the reigning king of the two-handed lefty phenoms out on the PBA Tour, Jesper. And I also think, Rob, I'll throw out there before we you respond, that Spencer Robarge going as far as he did, but not getting to the title match, I think actually cost Jesper Svensson the title, because he came out and had to deal with all that traffic and had to deal with all that transition created by Robarge.
Oh, poor Jesper. Poor Jesper has to deal with transition. Oh, I don't feel bad at all, Mike. Honestly, guess what? If you want to be the best in the world, you're going to have to learn how to bowl on stuff like that. And with all the two-handers and the urethanes coming out, guess what? You're not going to be the only lefty on the shows these days using urethane and having two hands. So guess what? You got to learn how to bowl on it, and you got to learn how to get out of urethane every once in a while, maybe. Because, and I've said it on previous shows that we've had, dude, these pros are so handcuffed to urethane these days, man. And what Robert just said here, those would have been the first time a two-handed lefty in a final match. Here's the thing that's a crazy stat, Mike. Crazy. There hasn't been a pro this year in 2021 that has won the title with a urethane ball. It's been all performance and a lot of one-handed traditional style.
Very observant, Mike, there.
Yeah. All I know is Spencer Robarge against Jesper would have been great. But, Mike, I'm going to say something here, and I might get a lot of shit, especially from some people in the chat. I thought Europeans were supposed to be animated people. Every time I go and I see soccer games and European soccer games, the people in the crowd, they're crazy, they're chanting, they're yelling, a lot of animation going. Yet the European bowlers aren't really that animated, Mike. I mean, Jesper Svensson isn't animated. Thomas Larson isn't animated. Stu is animated, but you know what? You get my point, right? A lot of the European animated are not animated. That's another reason why I want to see Spencer in the title match, because he was pretty intense, and he reminded me a little bit of me when I was that age, 16, no fear, just bowling with no fear. I could beat anybody.
Rob, you would have been so much more out of control than he was.
I know. I would have been nervous too. Out of control. I don't know if I would have been able to get through the first game because I'd have been so animated. But yeah, Mike, it got down to the final match. It was a good final match. Jesper couldn't find anything, and I was looking for him to make a good ball, like a ball switch, or make a good zone switch or something. He knew he didn't have it in the fifth or sixth frame. Do something, switch, make something happen. And he just didn't. And when he got up in the 10th frame, I was thinking to myself, there's no way he's striking out. There's no way. And, he didn't. He threw a good shot, though. Left the 7-pin. A lot better shot than I thought he was going to throw. So, yeah.
Yeah, I said the same thing as I was watching the show. I thought, there's no way he's throwing all three of these. And I think, he needed all three, too. All 30 in the 10th. Yeah. And I really I didn't really think that was going to happen. So, shout to Thomas Larson, another new major champion, Rob.
Yeah,
seems to be the trend lately.
Yeah, and now that people commenting on Spencer Robarge's pants in the chat room, I was trying to think of a name for him, and Chris Barnes responded and said that his nickname should be Crowbarge. I was just dying. I was like, yeah, man, this guy, he crowbars it, man. There's no doubt about it. So he's got some personality. It'd be interesting to see how much more he bowls. Obviously, he's going to Wichita,
shocker.
Which was, I know, shocker, no pun intended. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do to his game in Wichita, because I'm sure they've had to get out of teaching and coaching traditional one-handers. I know Wesley Lowe goes to Wichita, so how many two-handed lefties could you put on one college team? I guess I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how good they do.
Derek commenting here, that he should not go in college and should just go on tour. I mean, Derek, I thought the same thing. I'll be honest, I was actually going to tweet the same sentence while the show was going on. And then I put some thought into it. And I said, I don't feel that way because first, look at the left side on tour, particularly the last couple of years. Okay.
Point.
These last couple events have been the exception because we're in the National Bowling Stadium where lefties tend to have a really good look. And I was going to even say when we get to talking about the Open here, Rob, are you going to be shocked if there's a lefty in the title match for the Open as well? I'm not going to be.
No. Well, I mean, so I have a question though, Mike. Does the USBC they have a different person oiling the lanes too? Nick Hoagland is doing the patterns. And he doesn't have anything to do with the PBA when they oil, right? So they're completely two different organizations putting out patterns that also probably you would think affects a lot of what the lefty and righties do. The PBA has been kind of shutting the lefties out for a while.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to say that. I do not have enough information to comment on what the cause of it is. But as a fan, as an observant fan, it's obvious that the last few years the lefties have had a tough time, generally speaking. I think that's more than fair to say. You've even seen a guy like Ryan Simonelli retire, okay, from regular tour competition because of a lack of results, right? And he's one of the best, right? So, Derek, I would argue that, okay? I would also argue that there's not enough money. Even if the left was great, there's not enough money. Listen, shout to this young man. Huge accomplishment making the Masters show at a young age, 18, high school age, right? Shout to this young man. But guys, listen, come on, it's one tournament. It's one tournament, right? This has happened before. You need more sustained results at that level to be able to prove that you can make a living doing it out there, competing against the likes of the guys that are out there already. All right. So, let's not go crazy and say, oh, the kid should go right to the professional level from high school. No, let the kid go to school. Let him go to Wichita State, which is basically like bowling university. Right? And, let him bowl in college. Let him work with the great coaches and players they have at Wichita. And yeah, and a few years down the road, I'm sure we'll see him take a shot at it. But what was the comment, Rob?
The comment was the kid already has free education with all the scholarship. So why are you going to piss that away? Unless you do what some of the people that used to do back in my day and cash all the scholarship money in one semester and then gamble and drink it all in 8 months. Yeah. Which I'm not going to say who did it.
No names. We knew several people. We knew several people that did that.
Dude, seriously, literally,
they were living the life
for about 6 months until they drank and literally gambled like $35,000 in scholarship money away in literally like 3 months. But man, living like a king for that. But I've always been in the school of getting your education first, bowling while you're getting your education. And he could still bowl these tournaments that the Masters, the U.S. Open, and learn, still become, a college get a college education, and then see where the tour is at after, you leave it. And
he can bowl everything.
I know. Doesn't, so he's got to go.
College bowling really has no restrictions. So he could bowl everything he wants to bowl and still go to college. I mean, so yeah, to me,
that's 22nd right now too. Yeah, it's a state. I mean, look, the kid he's for real. We'll see though how he bowls. Like you said, Mike, PBA tour is a lot different than the USBC, at least lately of what they've done. But would it surprise you if all of a sudden, when Spencer Robards decides to bowl in the PBA, would it surprise you if all of a sudden the left side becomes a little bit better? It's a good point, right?
Yeah, but somebody just said in the chat, who do you see on the show on the left side regularly? The only two guys are Jesper and Jacob Buttriff. And listen, shout to this kid. I am not downplaying this young man's ability level at all, right? Clearly, he is insanely talented. But Rob, Jacob Buttriff and Jesper Svensson would certainly have something to say about anybody coming and trying to take what's theirs, and that's tough competition because those guys are really good too and really talented as well. So, like, I think the school route is the right route. These young bulls today, Rob, they got it easy. They can bowl anything and everything. Still remain junior, smart exemptions, this and that and the other thing. So yeah, I say take advantage of it as much as you can. Go. Wichita State has beautiful facilities for bowling. Like I said, it's like bowling university. You pretty much go there and bowl as much as you want, and really, really sharpen your skills up. And I'm sure we'll hear from him even before his college career is done. I'm sure we'll hear from him at some of these events. Rob, the people want us to talk about the red oil. Do you have any comment on the red oil? I don't really have any comment on the red. I thought the red oil was better than the blue oil because I thought you could see the pattern a little bit better. I also thought it kind of looked cooler. I also thought that it wasn't as visible on the ball, which I thought was a bonus. But other than that, not too much comment on the red oil, But here's again. Can I go back, Rob? Can I take this opportunity to talk about these entities, right? So, like, what I thought when I saw the red oil, was, oh, well, the PBA has the blue oil, and now the USBC has the red oil, right? So, like, why couldn't the USBC use the blue oil? Is there like a proprietary? You understand? Like, this is really what I think. And it brings me back here. Yeah, yeah. It brings me back to that idea of like these two organizations. Like I don't know. They need to work together more. And the dysfunction is like I don't know. To me, it's a little more apparent. Like another thing that I've noticed while the whole Bowl TV flow thing is going on is that. And I'm not going to like get real deep into this, but there are a lot of commonalities between people who have worked for the PBA and people who have worked for the USBC, right? And their roles have been very similar for both of those groups, right? And both groups to me are putting out a pretty good product at this point. But I would really like to see what would happen if you had all of those people working together under one umbrella, pushing things forward, in a positive way. So, like, it becomes somewhat apparent to me. But
yeah, I didn't even notice. To be honest with you, I didn't even notice the red oil, and that's kind of crazy to say, but I didn't. I mean, yeah, it was like, oh yeah, look, it's red, and then that was really the end of it. Like, people, they lose their minds when there's any kind of change. Like, oh my God, the blue oil went from blue to red. Let's all like, complain about it and bitch about it, and it's just like whatever. Like, I don't give a shit what color the oil is. If the red oil would make the show more entertaining, then I would be all excited. But
So somebody commenting in the chat, Chris is commenting in the chat that Kegel's USBC and PBA has a deal with Brunswick, who has the blue. But, and again, I understand that. I get it, business-wise, whatever. I'm just saying, like, there can't be more working together between those entities in the bowling world. Like, it's just odd to me. That's all.
Well, it's a big problem, and I know we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
But you know what ends up happening, right?
That's what that's what I'm saying, though. Well, that's what I thought about PBA, when I saw the red oil.
The PBA and the USBC, they don't work together, and the bowlers and the fans suffer. Okay, like that's plain and simple. Like the fans and the bowlers, they suffer when these two organizations are I don't know why they don't, be in better communication with each other to try to put a great product out for the fans and put a better tournaments out for the bowlers. Mike, $30,000 for the Masters and $30,000 for the U.S. Open, and then you have like PBA events that are paying $100,000 that aren't even majors.
200.
I mean, Yeah. I'm just saying, like, how is that even possible? The Masters and the U.S. Open are two of the biggest tournaments in the world. When the highest competitive tournaments in the world. Mike, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even if I asked you, Mike, if you had one tournament to win, what tournament would it be? I guarantee you, without even thinking about the money, if the money was taken out of play, you would say either the U.S. Open or the Masters. Probably the U.S. Open, in my opinion. To me, that's the tournament to win. Now, what tournament are you going to pick to win? You're going to pick the Players Championship, and because you want the 250,000, do 30,000 after taxes and expenses. You're probably not even seeing like 15,000 of that money. Honestly, now, yeah, there's probably some sponsor money involved, but really, how much? There's got to be something done. And Bolero's not going to come in and give the USBC money for their prize funds. They're not going to come in and say, "Oh, 30,000. Well, here you go, USBC. Here's 100,000. Like, let's get the prize funds bigger." They're not going to do that. So that's But look, like here's my point though. The USBC this year, I think, is lucky they're even having tournaments with all the shit, the pandemic going on. The bowling alleys were closed. The league fees weren't coming in. Dude, the USBC is hurting this year. There's no doubt about it. They have to be hurting. The Open Championships were closed. Their money, the Junior Gold was closed. Any kind of money they were having coming in probably was non-existent. So, the Bolero is a different entity, man. The PBA and Bolero they're a big company. There's a lot of money behind Bolero. So they were able to keep the show running. But, dude, the USBC, I think at this point, it's tough to complain about the prize funds because I think we're lucky that they're even having tournaments at this point.
So here's my question to you, Rob. My question is, how high of a priority do you think that, like, putting money towards the events like the Masters, like the Open, how high of a priority do you think that should be or needs to be for the USBC?
I mean, to be honest with you, they're probably making a lot more money at the Open Championships and Junior Gold. So I don't think it is like as high as it should be on their like priority list. I mean, obviously they probably spend a lot more time and money trying to build up the tournaments that they make a lot more money running, right? I mean,
no, but I mean, in terms of so like out of all the money that they have to work with, right?
Okay.
Should it be a high priority in their budgetary decisions, I guess you would say, to create a solid prize fund for the Masters and the Open?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do. Because look, this is the mecca of these are the mecca bowling tournaments. Like, what I mean by that is like these are the biggest bowling tournaments in the world. And this is how you get people interested in the sport. And this is how you grow the sport, by putting money into the Masters and the US Open, and you make it prestigious, and you give a green jacket, and you make it a $250,000 for first, or you make the prize fund so that actually like it's reputable prize fund. Mike, $30,000 for first place. Like I could bowl the True Amateur tournament in Vegas and they pay out 20 to 25,000. I know. And Chris, here's the problem. Chris Lutz says problem is the 30K, Mike, you took 30K top prize fund has been the same number for years now. You know what's crazy? It's going down. It's not going up, Chris.
Yeah, but hold on. Can I make a point about that though? I got to make a point. What do we expect? See, that's why I asked the question that I asked, Rob, because what do we expect? Like, numbers are down, membership is down. With COVID, numbers are terribly down. Bowling centers are closing all over the place, and we all expect the prize fund for these events to go up. I don't know.
That was my point.
Okay, all right. So like that's why I'm asking though. How high of a priority should it be?
Right now, I feel like
should it be more? Yeah, should it be a more important priority to make the Masters or the Open, $100,000 prize fund, or maybe even a $200,000 prize fund, to the point where other things get cut, from the USBC budget?
Mike, their priority right now has to be 100% keeping the sport alive. Honestly, keeping the bowling centers open, keeping, and look, they don't have a lot to do with that, right? Because the bowling proprietors, their businesses, that's a whole nother organization, the BPAA. But the USBC should be doing everything they can to support the BPAA into keeping bowling open, because, Mike, a lot of bowling alleys are closing, and if the bowling alleys aren't open, guess what? There's going to be no bowlers, and then the whole USBC it's gonna end up going under. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, because I think the USBC does a good job of budgeting and knowing their money and stuff. But look, the whole industry's hurting. Okay, everybody knows that. So survive, get through, keep your head above water this year, and then hopefully in the next 5 years we could start seeing the prize funds for these tournaments get to at least 100,000 for first, Mike. I mean, that's really has to be the minimum, for the prize funds for these big tournaments.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't think I agree with you there. I think you're letting them off the hook a little too easy. This isn't just a 1 year problem or a 2 year problem with the pandemic.
It's been a problem a while.
Yeah, this is something that goes back a while, right? So
sure.
Again, that's why I'm asking the question that I'm asking. To me, I'll be honest. I think that should be one of their main goals. Should be to keep the prize funds of the major events that they run at a level that keeps the sport in a respectable spotlight. Anyway, right?
Mike, what do you think about Mitch Young's comment here? Because this is a good point too. What do you guys think about at some point in the bowling ball manufacturers need to step in and contribute to these tournaments and such, since they only survive if this sport does?
Well, they I mean, I guess I'm going to speak generally here, and it's probably true. It's probably more true of some companies than others, even though I'm going to speak generally. But I think the ball companies do a fair amount already, right? Now, whether what they do is connected to their own bottom line or not, I think is a different discussion. But I do think the ball companies support bowling generally in various ways. Right now, when it comes to the PBA, obviously they pay product registration fees, right? And so once you charge someone a fee for players to be able to use your equipment, to me, how can you then come back to the ball companies and say, well, we need more, or you have to now dig deeper for us? You already got us for the product registration fee. That's their contribution. So I kind of understand it from that end.
Look, here's the thing is
this is a conversation for a different time, and we're not going to get into this right now. But I think a better question is, do the ball companies, or does a ball company at some point in the not too distant future start their own tour that competes with the PBA? No, you don't think so? Okay.
No, I don't think so. I just think that's too much expense and too much risk on the bowling ball company's part. They're already trying to keep their heads above water too, honestly. But I think this is a good point Mark Buffa makes. I hope I said that right, Mark. They should run regional events like the Players to replace the PTQ for the U.S. Open to generate more revenue and entries. Mark, I think that's a spot-on point, is that the USBC needs to try to create or get creative into try to generating revenue to boost the prize funds, right? Create some kind of local, or regional type action where you have 10 tournaments across the country, and maybe the top 10 of each region go, and you maybe, I don't know, you give them some money to if you win, you get an entry in, and you get some expense, paid or something to go to the tournament. I feel like, you just want to see some kind of creativity from the USBC or the PBA even to try to generate more revenue for these big Masters and US Open tournaments, right? Instead they just, they cut down the entries, they capped them because of COVID, right? No issues there. They got to do what they got to do this year to keep everyone safe. But, you want to see them at least try to get creative, right? So I think that's a good point, though. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Yeah, Mike. So, I mean, it's just a big topic. I think everybody, been commenting on it, at least on my Twitter and Facebook, about how it's not as interesting or as exciting for fans to watch a tournament that only pays 30,000. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but it's people, they notice, I guess, when their money is not big.
It's exciting for us because it's the Masters of the U.S. Open, but I definitely think that a larger prize fund adds to the excitement somewhat. I disagree with you guys on the qualifier thing. I mean, how many people are they going to get through that? Come on. You run a local sport tournament the way it is now, 30 people show up, 40 people show up.
Yeah,
I'm
so
serious.
True. It's so bad.
How many people are you really going to get, guys? Like, you're
know.
not going to, if you think you're going to generate a ton of revenue through something like that, you're not. The reason I asked what I'm asking is because if you're going to increase these prize funds for these events, you're going to have to take from wherever the money makers are for the USBC. Okay. And you're going to have to take money from those and find places to cut in other places and put it towards these events, because something like a qualifier isn't going to make it happen. So, all right, Rob, we'll keep it moving here somewhat. The match play at the Masters, I mean, it produced some interesting results, right? Some interesting matches. Yeah, some really cool matches ones to watch.
Watching Belmo lose to Tim Foy the way he lost. If anybody didn't see that match, it was incredible. I think Belmo needed like a 9 or an 8 to win to shut Foy out, and he threw a 5, a PBA wash, and then Foy got up and attempted and threw 3 strikes to beat him, to put him in the losers bracket. There was so many matches that like happened the way it did. And my point is, Mike, I feel like bowling in general needs to go to just, and I know people are probably not good, they'll disagree with me, but I feel like there needs to be like a bracket style, like or match play format in almost every tournament. They used to do that. They used to have the PBA used to be best 4 out of 7, but I think that was before a lot of the streaming was out there. But then that you could incorporate a lot of the betting if you were bringing that aspect of it. And then, you could watch match play, best 4 out of 7, and you could be able to put, money on if you have someone like a DraftKings come on board, who, by the way, sponsors Cornhole, in case you didn't know that. So all I'm saying is it just makes for more interesting product instead of watching 28 games of just regular qualifying. I love the match play. I enjoyed watching it.
Rob, are you saying that it's not that hard to get DraftKings involved with your sport if you want? Is that what you're saying, Rob?
Hey, it was the main sponsor of Cornhole. So, and here's the thing, Mike. I would love to be able to see if you're able to bet on the Cornhole matches. I would imagine you would be if DraftKings is sponsoring it, right? I didn't go on the app to see if you could or not, but I feel like if you're able to bet Cornhole on DraftKings, you should be able to bet live bowling matches on DraftKings too.
Oh my God! Well, listen, if anything is going, we've said it before, and I'm not getting deep into it now. We'll talk about it after the season's over, and we have a ton of time with no action to cover. If there's anything that could save bowling at the professional level, it's betting on bowling. I mean, but it's got to be done in a consistent and really expanded fashion. Like, could you imagine the level of degenerateness that people could get into during Masters week of bowling? I mean, look at how many matches there are before you even get to the show. You could be betting on every one of those matches, have odds in every one of those matches, let people bet on every one of those matches. I mean, even if you limit the amounts, it's still good because there's so many matches. So, like, who really has the budget to go and bet $1,000 or even $500 on every match in the Masters? There's not many people I know. So most people are going to be betting $20 a match, $30 a match, but they're going to be betting on 5 or 6 matches in every round, a couple $100, right? I mean, the opportunities are endless with the betting.
Well, it's a revenue generator.
Then you get to TV, and it's like, okay, not only can you bet on the matches, not only should you be able to bet on the individual matches of this person versus that person with odds, you should be able to bet on over under for total score. You should, for each player, you should be able to bet on over under score for both players combined. You should be able to bet on number of strikes, number of opens. Will there be a missed single pin spare? And this is all stuff before the game starts. Then when you get into the game, you could bet on, is the guy going to strike, or is he going to get less than 6 or 7 and put odds on? I mean, bowling as a betting product could shit on something like March Madness. Okay? it would shit on something like March Madness if it was done the right way. But Jimmy's right. Shout to the Ringing 10, our guy. He's right. Fox Bet, clearly, like, they're not investing the time and effort into really developing it, right? In order to really make that take off, the PBA has to affiliate themselves with somebody with a betting app, a betting company, a sports gambling company that's really going to put the time and effort into developing it in the right way. And if you put it out there and you advertise it enough, especially when there's not a lot of other, sports stuff going on, it will hit. Rob, there are people that bet on, my cousin bets on Chinese basketball games. Okay.
Dude,
Japanese baseball
right?
games.
You have to have it on the sports book.
Overnight tennis matches in Germany. Okay.
Yeah. It has to be like on Vegas too.
They would bet on bowling.
Well, it has to be on the sports book and they got to get it in the casino too. So you're in Vegas and you're looking at all the stuff to bet, and then there should be a little like bowling section where you could bet on bowling and you could just go to a sports book too. I feel like people would be more invested in the sport, and then people will watch it more. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, Mike. I know.
Isn't that why people watch sports? I mean, come on. Are you telling me that many people care about college basketball? People don't care that much about college basketball. Dude, they're watching it because they're betting.
What about fantasy football? You know what I mean? Like, dude, at least if you got two players going in a game, Mike, like, you're going to watch the game because you're invested in those players, because ultimately you're going to win money, right, in fantasy. There's a lot of opportunities they miss, but
I'm listening to the Bill Simmons podcast today, and he has on his guy that does the golf podcast for them, and they're talking about betting opportunities for the Masters. And somebody mentioned this in the chat, so I bring it up. And one of the bets they were looking at is bets like parlay bets for guys to finish in the top 5. And I thought, now how great of a bowling translation is that? Before the week starts, you're putting your parlays in. All right, I like these 3 guys to finish in the top 5 in this week in this particular pattern. I mean, there's just so many betting opportunities. People are saying about the bookmakers and handicapping it. I hear that, but like, guys, honestly, don't you think a lot of this stuff is done by algorithms at this point anyway? And
nobody knows how they do that shit these days.
Yeah, if you're limiting the bets, it doesn't really become all that much of an issue. Like, they're not going to get hammered on anything for millions and millions of dollars. So,
right.
But yeah, listen, we've said it before. I'll say it again. Betting is one of the main things that can save bowling, but it's got to be done in the right way. Rob, we're going to transition into talk about the U.S. Open here, but we got to wrap up our conversation, Master. I think this is a good transition, though. Like, usually the U.S. Open is the tournament that's known for like the mind-racking, over-the-top, pull your hair out, fried out by the end of the week, throwing your balls in a dumpster on the way out of the bowling alley pattern. This year, it seems like the Masters may turn out to be the tougher of the two.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a little bit of the twilight zone. With the U.S. Open as of right now, looking like the scores are a lot higher than the Masters scores were. But I kind of feel like I listened to Nick Hoagland they had in the booth on Bowl TV, and Nick Hoagland said in his interview that he didn't think the scores were going to be as low as they were for the Masters. So I kind of feel like there was a little bit of misjudging on Nick's part on how the scores or how they played, but it's not a knock on him, really. I think that he's doing a good job keeping the patterns pretty challenging, but also scoreable this week, and I feel like the Masters pattern was great. I feel like they did a good job with that. And the U.S. Open, they're using 3 different patterns. I didn't get a chance to see how the scores were today, but I'm imagining they were low because they were 40 flat. So yeah, it's interesting that how the scores played out, but I don't think it was on purpose.
I loved it. I mean, I thought kudos to whoever designed the pattern at the Masters. It was nice to see a competition where it didn't break down to who can loft it over the gutter the furthest, the longest, the hardest. So I enjoyed seeing that. Made me feel like if the PBA wanted to, they could drastically alter the style of play on a more regular basis out there. So I will say I think that says something.
Yeah,
I'll
I
leave
like
that
the
out there.
218. I think that's the type. I think that's where we're at these days when it comes to the scores. I feel like 220 leads isn't that's good. I feel like that's where the scores probably should be. U.S. Open maybe a little lower, but I don't. When I start seeing 240s and 250s leading, then I get a little bit like, okay, that's a little bit high, but 220s is good, I think.
Oh, 220. I mean, that's low by recent
For
standards.
sure.
Yeah, that's super low by recent standards. So, the U.S. Open, Rob, is going on right now as we're broadcasting here. Our boys getting ready to take the lanes in about 15 minutes. So, we want to wrap up for that too. I'm off this week, so I'm actually going to stay up a little bit and see if I catch a couple games. Oh, by the way, somebody commented on the Bowl TV and having the pros in and Bill O'Neill being on. They were also doing bad and piss poor impressions of me. Okay. And let me say, if you fools are going to go on and do ridiculously bad versions of classic rock songs as well, don't be doing impressions of me because I'll come at you. You come at the king, you best not miss. All right. So tell your boy Mike Flanagan, pipe down. All right. And we'll keep things peaceful for now. But you've been warned,
dude.
All right, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, and at least if you're gonna bring up, us.
I'm only kidding. I want to say I'm only kidding.
Say the name. No, say the name.
Say the name though. You're right, Rob. You're right. Let's be serious for a minute. I was kidding before. I want to be clear, but let's be serious for a minute. If you are going to crack on us and you are going to bring us up in a general way, say the name. It's Sweep the Rack. Say the name.
The rack.
Sweep the
What's
rack.
going on? Sweep the rack. That's it.
Oh, did everybody enjoy my Masters video? That's what happens when I have off from work and bowling's on and I get an idea in my head. So
that's right.
Phil, I know.
Right.
Phil's in the chat saying Billy did stick up. Yeah, I know. What do you think? Because he knows if he didn't. Yo, he knows. So he knows.
I can see it in his
he
voice.
knows I'm gonna listen to that. He knows he better. I mean,
he knows if you would agree with him or you would there would have been.
Oh man, we could feel however we want about the bowling stuff, but we better have my back, dog, for real. I threatened somebody with a car protector outside a restaurant because they made fun of you. So you better have my back for life, dog.
Yeah,
okay?
You called the guy a mohawk motherfucker, and then you told him he had nice socks.
I did.
Story.
I did. So
one of my favorites.
All right, we U.S. Open standings, Rob. I'm just going to give a rundown here, and this is through 2 rounds for B and C squad, right? Even though B and C has bowled 2 rounds, no one has still run down Jacob Buttriff. He's at plus 314. Second place is Brent Boho, plus 298. Interesting style on Brent Boho. I watched him today. I was kind of
two-handed?
Young kid. Yeah, two-handed, but I don't know. It's just awkward, a little awkward, I would say. And no, I know he's a really talented bowler. I think he bowled for Wichita State, perhaps. But when I saw how plus he was, I was kind of like, wow, he's doing his thing. Obviously, he can repeat it.
How about Buttriff using a 10-year-old plugged up remake of the U2? And let me tell you real quick, I'm going to go on a little bit of a minute tangent here. How does that look for the bowling ball companies when you got one of your best pros leads the U.S. Open by whatever he led it by using a 10-year-old plugged up bowling ball?
It's fine. It's fine. It's all marketing. It's just about the marketing.
Well, marketing what? A 10-year-old remake of the U2?
Yeah.
Marketing.
That's what they'll do. They'll come out with a remake. They'll come out with a remake and sell it as good as the one that he was using.
Mike, the urethane getting out of control, Mike. It's getting out of control right now, really. There has to be something done because it's not fun to watch anymore. Everybody's using urethane. And you had a great point months ago or last month we were talking about this on the show.
I stand corrected. Thank you, Charlie.
Dude, the high performance balls is what you look forward to as a fan, to see the new releases and to see like, if Butcher would have led with one of their, EBIs or Brunswick, I should say, new releases, like at least, you could say, oh, wow, that new release looks great. Maybe I should drill it. Come on, dude. 10 years. I mean, look, I'm not going to fault the pros.
Yeah.
But something's got to be done with the lane patterns. They got to figure this out. They got to get, I'm sorry, but I'm getting annoyed by it. It's getting boring to watch, and it's just all urethane. Like, I'm just annoyed, Mike. I don't know why I'm annoyed, but I am. Like, it's just all urethane. Like, it's just no fun. Everybody's just using urethane, and it's just two-handed urethane. Like, it's just, I don't know.
I'll be honest. I don't mind it. Like, I don't see much of a problem with it. To me, it takes a lot of skill to make urethane work, especially consistently, especially you get it to carry. I'm amazed sometimes by the fact that some of these guys can throw urethane on some of these patterns in some of these situations, because to me it would seem somewhat impossible. But my ball speed is also super high, so. But yeah, all right. Let me continue through the standings here. Okay, let me continue through the standings. So. Jacob Buttriff, 314 over. Brent Boho, 298. Zach Tackett.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah, he's been mowing good.
It's Zach Tackett, okay?
He bowled 300 in the PTQ.
I saw 273 over. Matt Sanders, lefty, 263 over. Michael Davidson, we had him on a few weeks back, Rob.
I like Davidson.
Another good showing. He throws it really good. 243 over. Pontus Anderson, Jesper, and up there again, 234 over. Chris Vi, Bill in A squad as well. Hasn't bowled yet today, but still up there in the standings. Mitch Hoope, same thing. A squad. Then you got, I'm just going to read off some names here. No scores. Nick Pate, Jason Sterner, Jason Belmonte, finally coming back around to form there, Rob. Christian Azcona, Sean Lavery Spar, Arturo Quintero, Matt Russo, Anthony Nyer, lefty from Pennsylvania, young kid there. Francois Laveau, AJ Chapman, Brad Miller, Spencer Robars, as someone mentioned earlier, Brian Robinson, AJ Johnson, Chris Barnes, kind of rounding out the
top 16 make it
there.
Top 16 make it, right?
Is it top 16? Okay, all right.
Pretty sure.
But there's a cashers round as well. There's a cashers round as well. So first cut line is 36.
Yo, where's the weed man? Jimmy wants to know where the weed man is.
Zach Weedman. Let's see. I watched him again today. I don't see him there. He's 39.
Weed man, Nevada.
39. 78 over. 78 over.
Weed man. Yeah. The weed man.
Yeah, holding strong. Anthony Simonson withdrawing from the U.S. Open, Rob. No word on why there. So that's something that we heard before it started. Going down and doing some dumpster diving, Rob. One name, surprising. I mean, very surprising. Shocking is the word I'll use. Kyle Troop, Rob, in 102nd place out of 108th. Player of the year, was the talk coming into the week. I don't know. Does a subpar finish like this negatively affect your chances at an award like Player of the Year? Like, does Tom Doherty gain by sitting on the bench? Okay.
No.
All right. Fair enough.
No. And I read an article, could be wrong, where the reason why Tom Doherty didn't bowl is because he didn't want to have to wear a mask while he was bowling.
I don't know. There were several reasons out there, so I'm not even going to comment.
Yeah, but he bowled a local tournament in Florida, like last weekend, and he bowled a lot of games. I guess it's a match play tournament. They were so like, Mike, I'm sorry, but I mean, I would tell him if he was on the show, I'd be like, dude, you have a chance, once in a lifetime chance to win Player of the Year. Like, I could understand, like, you don't want to bowl U.S. Open for the games if you're not healthy, but at least bowl the Masters, because the Masters was only 5 games a day for 3 days of qualifying, and then if you get in the losers bracket, you could bowl like a lot. But I don't know, something. I think Jimmy, right? Yeah, that's what he said. He stated that he didn't want to wear. Come on, really, dude? Nobody wants to wear a mask. Like, I'm super critical of that, honestly, that decision. So he doesn't deserve to win Bowl of the Year, honestly, by pulling out of those 2 tournaments. He doesn't.
Fair enough. Hot take. Coming in hot over here. Rob, one last thing I want to say about the U.S. Open is
hold on. I'm going to get
Go
in an
ahead.
argument with my brother here. Jeff,
no,
why is that?
let's not do it.
Why? No,
Let's
I'm
not
curious.
do
Why
it.
is that the most idiotic thing? Because he should win Player of the Year sitting on the bench.
Or maybe he means
You know?
it's the most idiotic thing that he isn't bowling. He might have meant that. He might be agreeing with you.
Well, I'm curious because if he's not agreeing with me, there's going to be. I don't care if I'm running 101 fever right now. I'm ready to roll. Let's go. Okay, sorry, Mike. Go ahead. I just saw that. I got a little bit crazy.
Yeah, he's saying I'm right. I guess I'm not sure. I didn't follow. So Rob, I have taken much enjoyment while watching this U.S. Open so far. In the idea that there are people who are minus hundreds of pins, and they throw a shot and don't carry, and they have like a very negative reaction to the pins. And I just want to say, like, if you're minus multiple hundreds, don't get angry at the pins, bro. I don't care how many bad breaks you get. If you're minus multiple hundreds, don't get angry at the pins, bro. It's not the pins' fault. It's really not. It's not the pins' fault.
No, that's funny. That reminds me of, like, I put a tweet up, like, you're 400 under and you pick 3 off the right, but you're standing on the foul light looking at the foul light because you stuck, and you're standing there for like 4 minutes and people are like trying to bowl and they have to like wait. Anyway,
or like you're averaging 170. You know, you're minus 300 after 10 games, okay? And you go up and you ring an 8-pin and you turn around as if like you can't believe what just happened. I mean, come on, guys, come on, really? Yeah. So you know, I'll just leave that out there.
I respect the grind, though, man. I respect the grind because if I was 400 under, I wouldn't give a shit bowling, and you'd see it on my face. But I have mad respect for those people who are 400 under who are still in it, trying to like getting angry when they're missing spares or they're like not carrying. Like, good for them, man. They're going on their shields, man. They're going out.
After these last 2 weeks, I almost feel like bowling needs to trim the fields either from the start of the event, find a way to do that, or if you want to have a bigger field to start, a lot of the field should only get to bowl like one round of short games.
100% should be
like let everybody enter the tournament if they want instead of the PTQ, but then like you bowl 5 games and a good part of the third of the field is cut after the 5 games. You showed up, you bowled 5 games, you go home.
Nah, I don't know about that. I would just say like there's got to be something like more stricter eligibility, but then we talk about prize funds being low. So I don't know. Anyway.
True. All right, Charlie Tap. Rob, Charlie has given us the perfect transition to our final segment here. Let's hit him with it.
Yep.
So Charlie brings up people putting their foot on the ball return. Go ahead, Rob.
I got to pull mine up here. So I had 2 people tag me on this week's Worst of the Week. So I'm going to congratulate, and much congratulations for winning Worst of the Week, Mr. John Wilson, who posted in the USBC Bowlers discussion forum. This was today, actually. So this is a recent hot take, Mike. You ready for it? Jason Belmonte obviously helped make popular the two-handed style of bowling. More and more are going to it. He also seems to have started another habit that I'm not in favor of. He puts his foot up on the ball return as he waits. Jesper Svensson and Packy Hanrahan do it now as well. Now I see young guys in league doing it. Does this bother anyone else? Mike. You know how you said, you come at the king, you best not miss. People love to come at Belmonte regardless of what the hell he's doing, and they just don't like him. A lot of people, and they look for any excuse not to like him. Mike, he's putting his leg on the ball return while he's waiting, and everybody's following suit now because he's doing it. He's started a trend. a leg on the bowling ball return trend. Now he's two-handed and a one-legged on the ball return. So congrats, Mr. Wilson. That is definitely worst of the week. You probably shouldn't watch bowling if you really believe that, but hey, man, we're all entitled to our opinion.
I started doing it too, but I don't go foot on the ball return, because foot on the ball return could mean like you're getting oil on your shoe, right? I don't want oil on my shoe. I don't want oil on the approach, right? So I go foot on the chair next to me, right? On either side, right or left. I go foot on the chair.
Goat.
Ball on the foot, and then stand there. So I've even stolen that myself, but it's actually quite comfortable.
It is. I do it all the time.
I think it really might be a better way to stand at the ball return. So not only has Belmo invented a better way to physically throw the ball, he has invented a better way to stand before you and wait before you throw the ball.
Eric, 100% right too. Like I do it, and I did it way before Belmonte. Belmonte didn't invent this. Okay,
Rob did. Rob did.
No. It's just, what? It's something you do because, one, if you're standing there waiting, it helps relieve pressure from your back and from your knees from holding the ball for like a minute. If you bowl next to someone who takes 10 minutes and who's like a human rain delay, and you got to wait for them to go, you're better off putting it on your leg, and you rest the weight on the ball on your leg, and it saves stress off of you. And if you're bowling a lot of games like Belmonte does, then any pressure you could take off of your back and your knees and your arms, you do it. So whatever. These people are just annoyed, but that was worst of the week for sure, 100%.
Fair enough. All right, here's my worst of the week. Okay. My worst of the week comes from the USBC message boards, the gift that keeps on giving. And it is from a one, Tony Lee. Congratulate. Don't know if that's
Congrats.
A guy or a girl, but congrats to him or her, Tony Lee. All right, here's the post. There's some grammatical errors here that made it a little bit tough to interpret, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to read it as is first, and then I'll give my interpretation, okay? I need help find the right bowling ball. I don't crank the ball. What is the most agrees-I've ball out there to throw at Nationals in Vegas? So here's what I think they're saying. They need help finding the right bowling ball. They don't crank the ball. What's the most aggressive ball, I think, is what they're asking here. Okay. What is the most aggressive ball out there to throw Nationals in Vegas? And I give that worst of the week because it reflects so many things that are wrong with bowling. It really does. I mean, that's like if I had to pick a post, to like represent multiple things wrong with bowling in one post, might be the post. The post.
It's sad to a certain extent, right? Because there isn't a whole lot of education in the sport.
That's what you. Yeah, exactly. It shows that like. That's what people believe. They believe that the route to success is going and getting the right ball, the most aggressive ball. And like, no, the route to success is like practice, and especially for something like Nationals, Rob. Doesn't matter what ball you drill. If you don't know what you're doing and how to throw it, you're not going to have success out there, right? So like, there's just so much misinformation and miseducation in the bowling world that it's sad. It is.
It's always been a problem.
Charlie, you're right. Bowling and big words do not mix. That's another reason why I'm saying it's like a perfect representation of multiple things wrong with bowling.
See, but it's crazy because like, why is someone like who like we've had on the show prior, Mark Baker, so successful at being a coach and an educator in the sport? Because he has the market cornered. You know what I mean? Like there isn't a whole lot of people like Mark Baker out there that will, set up virtual lessons and go to your home city and set up camps and clinics. And when I was a kid, the really only people to do it were Dick Ricker, Bowling Camp, and Fred Borden had the Team USA certification for coaches. But guess what? The certification for coaches for Team USA was a joke. Mike, my mom, who's like a 160 average, was a silver level certified coach because she paid for the classes and she sat through a class or two for the week. You know what I mean? Dick Ricker to me was more of an actual like school. You went there for the week. They had people who knew what they were doing. Kelly Kulick, Doug Kent, worked at the pro shop, and you actually got education, how to move, how to adjust, how to play the lanes, right? There isn't a lot of like out there. And I feel like that's what's missing in the sport in a national level. Mike, the chances that you live in a city in the Midwest, I don't know, Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, whatever it is, like these very small like places, and you go into a pro shop and the people there actually know what the hell they're doing is minimal. So like some of these people, they have to travel hundreds of miles to go to a pro shop that actual someone knows what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be like that. You should be able to go to a pro shop anywhere near you and get a lesson from someone who actually knows what the fuck they're doing. Anyway, that's my rant.
I'm glad I won worst of the week. I mean, I elicited that kind of response from you with my post. So
I know that's my fever. It's got in my head because.
All right, we're gonna let Rob go. Our boy is also bowling his block here, so I want to watch that. Everybody, as always, we appreciate you guys joining us. Hit us up on social media, spread the word, give us reviews on iTunes. U.S. Open show Sunday, FS1. Again, I forget the time on that, but give that a look. We'll definitely be watching. We'll be tweeting. We'll be talking about it next week. Rob, I hope you feel better. Congratulations for powering through tonight.
Jordan.
Impressive. That's all I can say.
Dude, do me a favor. Can you text me if Bill's getting streamed on any of the pairs they show? And let me know what pair.
True. I will. I don't know how many hours I'm going to be able to hang out here, but I will definitely give you a shout.
All right, just let me know because I can't sit there and click through the pairs all night.
Sounds good. All right, people.
All right.
Peace.
Peace out. Later, guys.
You are now listening to